Hi folks, GamerBug here again, and it's time for another Transformers video. What are we doing today? Well, I thought I'd go over what Transformers I've been picking up this year, what ones I'm planning on getting, and also what my collection is going to look like hopefully over the next year or so into 2025 based upon all the leaks that have been done. So we'll start with looking at what I've actually purchased this year. Then I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I've got on pre-order, some of the things that have actually been showcased, and then the final bit will be about the actual leaks, the things that we're not sure are coming, but we're fairly sure are coming. So let's get on with the video. But before we do, if you like it, please do leave a like, and if you could subscribe, it always helps the channel and is very much appreciated. So let's go back to the beginning of 2024. First off, I got my hands on the Autobot 5-pack. This comprised of Jazz, Sunstreaker, Trailbreaker, Wheeljack and Hound, obviously all G1 styled. Now, I already had Jazz and Sunstreaker and Trailbreaker and Wheeljack, and I actually had Siege Hound, so really all I was buying here was different versions of them. But I decided in my head I had to have the Earth mode of each of the vehicles, and thus I needed Hound. And although part of me feels the Siege version is a little bit cooler and a little bit better, I still find this was a worthwhile pack, and I do like the Hound that comes with it. What I like even more though are the non-clear plastic versions of all the other vehicles. So Jazz was notorious for being a bit could break any second due to clear plastic when you transformed into his vehicle. Sunstreaker was really bad on colour matching. The yellows were absolutely awful. Trailbreaker was fine, so was Wheeljack, if I'm perfectly honest. They weren't ones I was desperate to change up. That said, once I got the new ones, I was like, I'm going to keep these, aren't I? If any of them, the only one I don't like too much for the vehicle mode is Wheeljack. I think it's a bit plain, but overridingly, he's still better, so I like him. It wasn't too expensive for me because I managed to then go and sell all the other ones that I didn't have, and pretty much the actual pack cost me, I think it cost me £5. So, those out of the way, what did I get next? Well, Gears was next on my list, and a G1 Gears is something I've been after for ages. I will be doing a review on him as well as all the other figures, so if you want to keep an eye out for that. And that review, like all my reviews, is just going to be G1 original versus what currently is there. Anyway, G1 Gears, great pickup, absolutely love this. The styling's great, the vehicle mode's great. I say the vehicle mode's great, maybe I'm a bit overdoing that. The vehicle mode's serviceable, the actual robot mode's really good. I do kind of wish it had the old G1 face. I'm not a big fan of that, but I'll discuss that more when I do a review on him. Overall, really happy with this figure, just like Brawn that came before him, really solid. So yeah, happy when I picked this guy up. Next up, I got my hands on Sandstorm. Now, this wasn't a figure I had as a kid. It wasn't one I even played with as a kid, but I definitely wanted it. I have the other triple changers that have been released so far, and they're a very mixed bag. I think the robot mode of Blitzwing is awesome, but I think the other two modes are lacking. I think the overall aesthetic of Astro Train is a bit dull and dark. It could be sort of, I prefer if there's a bit more color pop going on. And the vehicle modes are okay. They're way better than Blitzwings, let's put it that way. And then there's Springer, who is a decent enough character and model. And if I'm honest, the alt modes are the same thing, but with a bit sticking out the back of it. It's a bit lazy, but fine. So I actually thought this one would be good. And if I'm honest, you know, just by the pictures, it looked amazing, but that could be misleading. It wasn't. It's a really, really good figure. The helicopter mode's brilliant. The buggy mode's good. I'll just call it good. It was certainly one that I was happy that I picked this guy up. Between this, I actually picked up a couple of things that fall outside of my collection. So my collection is always G1 toys from 84 to 86. There are some things that fall slightly outside of that. For example, I have RC. RC was never released as a toy, so it falls out of that, but she was part of the 86 movie, so I felt that was fine. I also picked up the little Daniel Studio Series figure. Is it Daniel or yeah, whatever, whoever he is, I don't care. It was cheap. But I do go outside of my only collecting that era occasionally. And those occasions are, I'm going to probably get in trouble for this, but fembots, female robots. Everyone says they don't like the word fembot. It's a female robot. It's a female looking robot. And I picked them up because I want a bit more sort of female representation in the groups, and it's different, and I like to see what they can manage with them. Do I pick them all up? No. I only pick ones that spark my interest. And I did have a bit of a rule, and that rule is I only pick up one of each mold. I'll go into why that is not a thing anymore in a little bit. So first off, I got my hands on Windblade. Now, I don't really know much about Windblade apart from what I've seen in Cyberverse, because my eldest son, used to watch Cyberverse and seemed a decent enough character. And then, of course, I've seen tons of like Windblade toys, and there's a really awesome looking model, a bit overly sexualized, but it looks cool nonetheless. And this was not a bad looking Windblade, and it was going cheap, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy Windblade. So I did. So I got myself my hands on the Legacy Windblade. Following on from Windblade, I then saw the Cyberverse Chromia. Now, I didn't think this looked anything like Cyberverse Chromia, but it looked like an okay robot. And I didn't have this mold at all because it's the animated Prowl mold, and I was no interest in buying that whatsoever. So because it was a different mold, it was a female robot and it looked kind of cool, I decided to get it. Having got it, I don't think it's brilliant. It doesn't fit together too nicely. It doesn't like to stand on its standing robot mode. The hands are weird so that they can hold the stupid weapons that come with it. But it's not too bad for posing in robot mode. It looks decent enough, but it's certainly not my favorite of the female robots that I've got. I've given it Studio Series 86 Magnus's one of his guns, and I think it looks a lot better. So it's an okay figure, it's not brilliant. After this, I then decided I wanted a couple more female robots, if there were any good ones out there, because I thought let's start doing a collection of these. And there was a two-pack that comprised of Javelin and Cascade, two characters I knew nothing about. These, like I said, these are just things I'm interested in. They don't have to be a character I know. I don't know anything about these, but I thought that Javelin looked really cool because it was based upon the Bumblebee movie RC, which I think is a great mold, although I don't have it anymore. I had it. I sold all my Bumblebee movie ones. I wanted to I started to get in my head I was going to collect the Bumblebee movie ones in G1 the same way, and then I was like, that's never going to happen. They're only ever going to release X amount of them. Obviously, since they have gone back and released them that were not in the movie but overridingly, I was like, no, let's get rid of them. I'm not sad I got rid of that RC because I didn't like the face of it. It went really well with the Bumblebee movie characters, don't get me wrong. I just didn't like it overriding as an aesthetic. So this Javelin I think looks brilliant. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's a Decepticon or Autobots. I don't think she's even got an emblem upon her, but she poses really well and I like the character. Cascade, however, is based on the Chromia mold from Siege, which I never got my hands on. Really elusive in the UK. I did want it because at the time I was collecting the Siege ones. Weirdly enough, I virtually own almost no Siege characters anymore. I think I've got one or two. But I never got that one. This is fine. I don't think it's a brilliant mold. I think it's very backpack heavy. In some ways, I think it's probably worse than Moonracer that I've also got. That's not mine, technically speaking. I bought it for my son as a Transformer, and it's sat in a box somewhere. I might dig it out and add it to my collection. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, it's not a great mold. It's fine, I guess. Then I saw in stock something that was out of stock for ages, and I was like, do I, don't I, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? And that was the Nemesis Bridge Pack. And I was like, I don't need any of these characters. Then I got my Megatron and had a look, and my Soundwave, and they'd yellowed quite badly. And I was like, this isn't good, is it? Now, Shockwave had not yellowed whatsoever, was perfect. Soundwave and Megatron had fairly notable yellowing. The reason I hadn't noticed the yellowing, I'll say this, is when it was on my display cabinet, which is just in natural light, you can't notice. You really can't notice if it's on display. So then I was like, when it's on display, does it matter? And then I saw it on, I was like, screw it, I'll buy it. So I bought the dramatic bridge capture set, and I have to say, I really like all the characters in it. They've done a brilliant job. I think Soundwave has one issue, and that is he's still got the weird things underneath his arms. And Megatron's way better. Everything about this is better than the other Megatron. I didn't like the head on the Earthrise Megatron. For some reason, the shiny silver just makes it pop better. Soundwave I thought was going to have shiny paint on it, and doesn't. For some reason, it doesn't bother me. Did I say Soundwave or Shockwave? Shockwave if I didn't mean. I meant to say that if I didn't say that correctly. Yeah, I thought it was going to have shiny like arms and legs, and it doesn't. They're kind of a matte colour. They look absolutely brilliant. So what I did was I then decided I'll sell the other ones. I make sure everyone saw real close-up pictures of the yellowing on Soundwave and stuff. Kept Ravage. I threw in a Siege Rumble or Frenzy, whichever one was red in Siege, because obviously I'm not getting into the Rumble as red, Frenzy's blue, blah, blah, blah. Instead, because I wanted to keep the Ravage, but obviously sold it with the laser beak. And I think I ended up paying about £5 for the entire pack. Obviously, Shockwave sold with all his additions that I don't have now. I'm not worried about that. It doesn't bother me at all. Now, on top of that, I did upgrade my Galvatron from Kingdom to... what was the one that came after? Well, it must have just been Legacy. Because I wanted the version that had the correct arms, the correct way round, if anyone knows about that manufacturing issue. It hadn't bothered me, but then I saw it going really cheap, and I was like, I'll get it. And if I can sell my old one, fab. And if I can't, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I did get a new Galvatron as part of the Legacy line, and it doesn't have the Siege scuffing on it as well, so I quite like that. That's pretty much all the purchases I've done, with the exception of I recently picked up Strong Arm, and I wasn't going to buy this because it's in a mold I already have, and I wasn't sure about the figure. Now I've got it, I do like it. Is it better than the Strong Arm from RID 2015? There was a warrior sized figure, and it pretty much is. But there's other things about that one that's a bit better. It's another one that my son's got lying in the bottom of the toy box. And I was like, do I just get that one out? And then it was the articulation and stuff. And there's lots of empty gapping on it. And I was like, no, I'll buy this one. And again, it went really cheap because it was shelf warming. So I just decided, sod it. So I picked up Strong Arm, and I actually really like this Strong Arm. It's good. As I said, I've already got Elite 1 in the same mold. And I think they're different enough. But I've decided maybe it doesn't matter if I like the character anymore. The final thing that I bought so far this year, although technically I paid for it last year, was a pre-order, but it showed up this year, and that was Missing Link Optimus Prime. I did a whole video on that, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but it was brilliant. It still is brilliant, and I absolutely love this toy. Let's talk about what I've got on order at the moment. So I have 3 things on order at the minute, I think. No, technically 2. So I have Swoop, Studio Series 86 Swoop on order, which should be released soon, hopefully. Obviously, all the usual culprits have already done their reviews and stuff, and I'm not convinced about this figure being brilliant, but I'm hoping in hand it's better than the pictures look. On top of that, I've also got, I think, called the Doom and Destruction pack or something. Basically, it's the deluxe Insecticons of Chop Shop and Barrage, and also you get that silver whatever it is thrown in with it, little bull hammer thing. These look absolutely freaking awesome, and a couple of reviews have started to kick out now, and some people have been getting them a bit early with it being Amazon. I've looked on Amazon UK, it's still not out here. I ordered mine on Hasbro Pulse because it was the cheapest place at the time. Turns out Amazon's just as cheap. I don't trust either of them to not cancel my order, so this could be really annoying if they did. The one place I normally buy, which is In Demand Toys, it was a bit more expensive. So I was like, and it sold out fast as well, if I recall rightly, because normally a couple of quid, it wouldn't bother me. So I ended up getting it from Hasbro Pulse. Fingers crossed it actually shows up, but I don't think I'm going to get this until next month now, which is a crying shame. So out of things that have been showcased, these are some of the ones that I've seen that I'm interested in, and some of the ones I've seen that I am not. So first up is Studio Series 86 Core Steeljaw. I'm not hugely interested in this, but I have Rewind and Eject, so I kind of may as well get my hands on Steeljaw. It's not selling out anywhere, I've noticed, so I'm hoping this one's just going to be one I can just walk into a shop and pick up, or slap it onto an Amazon order so it's a free delivery. But I will probably get this one. Studio Series 86 Springer. I don't know on this one. I really don't. I'm hoping this one's going to shelf warm a bit, because a lot of people claim they haven't got Springer, but it wasn't hard to get hold of Springer in the UK, so that might be American audiences. And then obviously it got re-released as the Wreck and Rule stuff. I would like a version that doesn't have all the Siege MacGuffin on it, but I really don't think I can pay full the price for this. It just feels cheap, if I'm honest, and it's just for accessories, even though they do look better. So if it goes cheap, I'll pick up Springer. If it doesn't go cheap anyway, if it doesn't shelf warm, I think I'm just going to stick with my Siege version. Then I saw Slipstream. Now, this was the thing that made me change my mind a bit on buying two female robots in the same mold, because I think this looks really good. Now, do I think this looks like Slipstream from Cyberverse or whatever? No, I don't. I do genuinely think they could have just used the Seeker mold, maybe made it a little bit more feminine looking, maybe, if they wanted to, change the face. I don't think it would have mattered. They could have probably just used the mold as is. But I like this. I like this a lot. And from the fact of I want female looking robots in that way, and I don't want to get into any things about that, it's just my personal aesthetic choice. I like this one a lot, so I'm going to pick this one up, I think. And I get the feeling this one might shelf warm a bit, so I might be able to pick it up a bit cheaper. Now there's the ones that I have seen showcased that I am not going to buy. First off, G1 Deluxe Optimus Prime. If I didn't have Missing Link Prime, I'd probably get this. I think it looks brilliant. I think it's a great idea, but I've got the Missing Link Prime. There's absolutely no reason for me to get this. I already have a more definitive Optimus Prime in the Earthrise Prime. More on that later. So I'm not going to be picking this up. Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. I've got the Netflix Bumblebee. I'm really happy with it. It's fine. There are things about this I slightly prefer. I don't care about the parts forming. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me about the parts forming is getting the actual bit off the back. It's quite annoying. The Autobot emblem missing off the chest. Don't like that. That's kind of annoying. But I could get a Repro label and chuck one on if I want to, and I haven't yet, so whatever. Yeah, it's got the right gun, but those guns all just look a dime a dozen. It looks like Ratchet's guns and everything like that, so don't care. And I don't like the face. I think it looks too chunky, and I'm not interested in this at all, and it doesn't turn into a beetle. So mine turns into a beetle. No, it's not cartoon accurate. I don't care about that. So I'm happy with my Netflix one. Unless something drastic happens, I don't see me upgrading. Then they showed off the most disappointing thing I've ever seen. Legacy Leader Soundwave. The laziest repackage ever. Now I know a lot of people don't have this because obviously they didn't get Netflix Soundwave, which I had, and there's obviously the Nemesis Bridge Pack, but you had to buy the Bridge Pack for that. This one, however, yeah, you get Soundwave, and you get Ravage and Frenzy, and finally you get Buzzsaw. And yeah, nothing about this. It's lazy. It's pretty much the Nemesis bridge pack. I think there's a bit of different paint just around the tape deck opening. It's still got the bits under the arms. They could have took them off. That would have maybe made me go, ooh. Ravage looks worse for some reason to me on this. I think it's the fact that he's too black everywhere. The Siege version had little pops of grey or silver on it, more so than this, although I still think it's a trash figure. You've got Frenzy thrown in blue. Is the other Frenzy blue? I can't remember because one's trying to be close. No, Rumble would be blue, wouldn't it? Because it's trying to be like the cartoon, and then this one would be blue because it's trying to be like the toy. And yeah, the paint apps are different and they're interesting. I quite like the paint apps on this Frenzy. I'm not going to bother with that. And Buzzsaw is the only thing about this that's interesting. And they've made him so golden. And I'm not saying he wasn't a bit golden in the toy, but it looks crap. It looks brown here. And so I'm like, nah, nothing in this makes me want to buy it. I doubt I'll be able to pick up a Buzzsaw like for anything decent priced wise on aftermarket. But I use different figures to represent my cassette box anyway. So all the cassettes I've got that fit in Soundwave are just in cassette mode on display, because I use different figures to display. So I'm really not bothered about this one at all. The Missing Link I mentioned earlier, and Bumblebee and Cliffjumper were shown, and they've now been revealed, and I do not care for these at all. For two reasons. One, I was never a big fan of... I had both of these toys, and they were the least interesting of the Mini Autobots to me. Definitely way after the likes of Windcharger and Gears and Brawn and Huffer. And then on top of it, Cliffjumper looks kind of stupid and creepy and weird, and I hated the front package art anyway, because I talked about that in my package art video. And the gun looks really cheap and tacky on him. It looks like it was made in 1984. It's that cheap silver looking plastic. Do not like this at all. Bumblebee looks better, because obviously I like Bumblebee's visored face. I don't know, he's just a bit more interesting than Cliffjumper. Not over-idling as a character, just in this. And the price. The price is just ridiculous. I'm not paying that. It's past Voyager pricing for... Yeah, I know there's metal on it and all this kind of stuff, but basically they don't have, which is weird because I literally had them as a kid, but these do not have the nostalgia or interest level that, say, Optimus Prime had to me. If they ever do a Soundwave in Missing Link, yep, I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to snap him up. But I don't really foresee me getting any other Missing Link characters because I'm just not that bothered. So the last thing for 2024 that has been leaked, as far as I know, and obviously there's always a chance something else will be leaked out that would interest me, is the Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. This is the only thing I can see that could potentially make me give up Earthrise Prime and get this. But I don't know anything about this. I don't know if this is going to be Earthrise Prime with more accessories, or this is going to be a brand new mold. Everyone says it's definitely going to be a brand new mold. We don't know that. I mean, everyone thought that about Soundwave. Look how lazy that was. So this could very much just be, you know, the same. But it could be brilliant. This could be up there with the Studio Series Ultra Magnus, and I will want to snap it up immediately. So I don't know on this one. I genuinely don't know. So we have to just hold our breath and wait and see. If it's amazing, I'm going to buy it. If it's not amazing, I'll stick with Earthrise. Now, before we go on to the next trilogy that's going to be coming out in 2025, there was a leak about a fifth wave for Legacy that was going to be coming out. It's going to be predominantly filled with package refreshes and reissues, but there's going to be a couple of new ones in there. There's nothing new in there that I particularly want, but there is a package refresh that I really want, and that's the package refresh of Ramjet. I picked up Dirge recently when that was released in Legacy, and obviously I completely missed out on the Earthrise 2-pack. Virtually everyone did, and nowadays they go for like £250 on eBay or something. So seeing this come out is going to be brilliant, and I cannot wait to pick it up. So with Legacy done, we move on to this Prime trilogy that's going to be coming out. Now I believe this is all based upon the Primes, rather than, as I say, it's nothing to do with the old Prime. Obviously, they're going to be throwing extra things into this, but so far on the actual Prime stuff, there's some really cool looking things in there, as well as some really cool looking things for Studio Series 86. So first on Prime that I saw that I'm definitely going to be picking up is Venom. They're going to be doing a deluxe class Venom, which is one of the deluxe Insecticons. As at that point, I will hopefully have Barrage Chop Chop, and I will also have, well, I've got Ransack. Then it's going to be nice to have Venom. Whether this is going to be a retool of somebody, I have absolutely no idea at this point. I don't really care. I'm going to be picking that one up for definite. So also on the Prime side of things, they mentioned Air Raid, Fireflight, Skydive, and Slingshot. Now obviously these are all aerial bots that will obviously join up to make Superion. What has not been mentioned on that is their leader. Now whether he's going to be a leader class, or because Motormaster was a leader class. No, Motormaster was a commander class, wasn't it? So whether or not he's going to be a commander class, I don't know how you get away with Silverbolt being a commander class. I'm not sure, but maybe he could be leader, or maybe not. It depends how much extra stuff is actually needed. But you know, once he's mentioned or announced, obviously I'll be trying to get my hands on him. Then there have been a leak of Swindle, who is obviously going to be part of Bruticus, I'm assuming, and there's been nobody else mentioned whatsoever, but you've got to assume all the others are going to be coming as well. That might be a 2026 thing though, so I'm only going up to 2025 in the leaks that have been mentioned so far. Top of that, more combiners, because they've obviously mentioned now, or they've leaked, Bone Crusher, Mixmaster, Scavenger, and Scrapper as deluxes for the Studio Series 86 line. Now, they haven't mentioned Hook, and they haven't mentioned Long Haul. Maybe they're going to be Voyagers. Maybe they're going to be packaged together in some sort of Commander class box set. I don't know. But yeah, they are definitely going to be bought. I never bought the Titans Returns one, and I want to get Devastator and these. So yes, now the problem I have with all of these ones that I've just mentioned that are all combiners is, for Motormaster I got 2 sets. One to be the combined form and one to be the individual robots. Now whether I do that again, or decide maybe that's just too expensive and stupid, and I decide to actually sell my other Stunticons, I don't know yet. There's also a question of space. That's another reason why I'm only collecting a certain amount. Whether I've got space for the ones I'm mentioning here, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I have. So then the final things that have been mentioned are part of Studio Series 86, and that is the Studio Series 86 Galvatron, which is a leader class. I can't imagine what this is going to do. It's going to make me want it more than the Galvatron I've got, unless they make it huge like Studio Series Ultra Magnus. But Ultra Magnus was a commander, and this is going to be a leader. So I think it's just going to be a retool or recolor of the Kingdom one, and I've got that. So I'm not really that fussed about this one. What I wouldn't mind to see is a Studio Series 86 Cyclonus, because mine's got the yellowing problems, and that would be a nice thing for them to re-release. And maybe they could chuck in his sword or something as well. And then the very final thing, and this was the reason that I was on the fence about getting the Nemesis Bridge Pack, is the Studio Series 86 leader Megatron. Now, again, I don't know what they're going to do with this, because you've got Legacy leader Soundwave is just Voyager Soundwave with some tapes thrown in. So Megatron could just be Megatron Earthrise with some extra bits thrown in, like his mace, Maybe even him as the gun, as an accessory, not that he turns into that gun. I still think he's going to be a tank. I might be shocked, but I do not believe for a second he's going to turn into a gun. I'm not worried about that. I don't care too much if he turns into the gun or not. But I still think he's probably going to be very similar to Earthrise Megatron, and he'll just have lots of bits thrown in as extras for him, and that's a bit worrying. And that's the reason why I thought I'll still plump for the Nemesis Bridge set and see what happens. I'm not sad with the Shockwave I got, and the Soundwave's brilliant too, so yeah, they're fine. All in all, that's everything that's been leaked as far as I know so far, up until, well, some point in 2025. There's been no more major leaks to do with my collecting habits, which are those G1. Now, there might be some female robots that could be really cool coming out. There's none I've seen that I want, that I've missed off the list that I'm talking about here, like Shadow Striker. I thought it was a trash looking figure. I wasn't interested. I don't know if that was this year anyway, but I've not been interested in it. There was a pink, I think it's like a pre-Elita one. I can't remember the name of it. Never heard of the character. It was very pink, and I think it was using the Legacy RC mold. I thought about that one, but I wasn't massively a fan of it either. So there might be some other female robots coming out that I want to add to that side of the collection. Maybe Missing Link Soundwave gets announced. That would be added to my collection. But so far, for the next year or so, and what I have bought, that's it. So hopefully this was interesting to you, to see the purchasing habits of a person as to why they buy some of the things they buy, and why they might buy some of the things in the future. And if you did like it, as I've said before, please do leave a like and do consider subscribing. I try to bring as much of this content as I can, try to make it different and interesting, and every subscription is appreciated. That's all for now. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, GamerbugUK out.